housing market. Get the latest insights right here.
Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
And I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker.
It's market. I mean, we'll talk about the market and everything. It's kind of weird. I feel like it's kind of holding pat as we're getting ready to hit this other secondary market, right?
Finished Labor Day. So last week is actually, I was very surprised to see the amount of houses that listed last week.
Yeah.
Hitting like for the weekend.
It's weird though, but like, cause like Labor Day, first of all, like I'm an idiot and I always get Labor Day and Memorial Day confused. You know what I mean? But anyway.
Labor Day was so early this year that literally I didn't know it was Labor Day weekend until Tuesday last week.
Yeah.
Which means Friday was going to be the holiday weekend. But you and I know holiday weekends usually don't mean much.
But Labor Day is a weird one, though, because, like, you know, Memorial Day, like, we got the race. Like, we, you know, like, especially this year with the Pacers and everything. But Labor Day, like, what do people do Labor Day? I mean,
everybody
I know
goes away. And that's why I think it's interesting how many people listed their houses, because I don't know how many people I talked to that I'm out of town. That's why I didn't know it was Labor Day weekend, because I was here.
But does it matter right now? Right? Like if you are most likely going to pick up days no matter what, right? Like that's just the reality of the market right now.
I was thinking that thing is right now, we used to talk about this, planning it for the holidays, planning it for school being out, planning all this.
List on a Thursday.
I think we're such a normal market right now. Brian Buffini stated this in his most recent his event that he always
State
holds.
of the state type thing.
He was always talking about, but his main thing was we are back to like 2019, which 2019, you know, going to the process of where have we been? 2019 was back in the days of a normal market. Yeah. And then 2020 and then 21 and 22 and half of 2023 were the most out of control market, nothing normal. So we went from a normal market to this skyrocketing strangeness, and now we're just back to, and he said, like a 2019. So getting to these listings is, it really doesn't matter when you list anymore, because we're not trying to catch that first day on market, all the showings, and then figure out offers. It's just going to be, is this a good time to list it? Go for it. It doesn't matter if it's Labor Day weekend. It shows it. Carmel had 34 hit the market Labor Day weekend.
But it's because there's inventory, and so people are, I don't know, it's almost just like, if we miss it, there'll be another one next week.
Correct.
And there will be. Like, that's the crazy part about it. And there's just no sense of urgency, which is actually really, really nice. I still just not sure the consumers have adjusted to that. And the other part about it is, like, I don't know how long we actually stay here. Because I don't think we stay here. I think we're in this boat for...
Well, we're getting into the holidays.
Yeah.
If you're talking about timing of listings, I talked about that with my sellers I think
we're here for 7 more months. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're here for about 7 more months.
Here's what we were talking about earlier, though, before we started. If these rates drop...
When? I mean, they've already said that they're going... I mean, I get it. We're talking about Fed rate versus mortgage rates and blah, 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 blah. But mortgage rates right now have gone down.
Right. And if they do some type of a rate drop, I think buyers will jump back in.
How much do you think it takes for a buyer to jump back in?
True. And now, are they gone now because school started, and again, we're back to the next spring market. So are we seasonal again? That's the other question.
I think it takes a half point for buyers to jump back in. I think if people saw a rate with a 5 in front of it, even if it was 5.99, I think people would come back in.
Yeah, that'll sound great.
But then it'll be competitive again.
I think
and it'll push prices again.
Buyers have a really good ability right now to purchase a home. We can't say whether it's a buyer's market, seller's market. Nobody wants to say that yet. But there is a good possibility that if you have an offer made today, not if it's just been put on the market, because I did see a couple of houses fly off the market this weekend. Again, they were beautiful. Everything's perfect about them, and that's still going to happen. But here's the thing with these houses that are sitting for just even a little bit of time, up to like 30 days. I know sellers get anxious. I know agents get anxious. And it's real important that agents talk to their sellers about what market we are in, because there are agents out there still saying, oh, it's a quick market, oh, we're going to sell. And you're just not giving the proper information. But I think
so why does that upset us, right? So here's the thing. We still sell houses that quick. You do too. I think for me, the reason it bugs me is it is so short-sighted for your next client, right? And it sets a tone poorly for it's very self-serving for the agent, so I understand how it happens. They think it's good marketing and all this other things, but
you're setting yourself up for failure, I think.
And a bad perception of our industry as a whole, because then you're going to be going back on your word of an expectation level of what you can produce right now.
Because their house is going to be different from that house.
Which creates distrust in our industry.
Correct.
Between the consumers and us. Which that's what bugs me, is like it's self-serving but disserving for the entire industry.
Well, and you get back to, like, I've seen a couple of things on all these different town chatter Facebook pages, So it's like somebody reaches out and says, oh, I'm just curious, I'm thinking of selling. And an agent will jump in, maybe for their own good. It's a great market. It's a great time to sell. I'd love to talk to you, just to get the deal or just to get the person to call you. Because, of course, who's going to get on there and go, well, it's just a normal market.
So about the market right now.
Yeah. So jumping on there to answer those Carmel chatters or any of those, to just say, oh, it's awesome out there, give me a call. Then you really better sit down and have that conversation at the kitchen table, how it really is. But I don't respond to those. I mean, there's nothing to say. It's a different situation.
So I love it when somebody's like, hey, you're going to be selling our house soon. Anybody know any good agents? And like the only response like I ever put is like RIP to your DMs. You know what I mean? Like, because everybody's going to be in there saying like, I know so-and-so and so-and-so's the best.
It's a big,
and then the agents get in there.
I know. It is crazy. Like everybody knows 7 agents, as they say.
And I think everybody runs their business differently. So to each their own. And if people do business that way, I'm all for it. I want people to succeed and do fine. Like we're pretty direct referral, like you hear about us or somebody tells you about us or us. That's how all of our business is created for the most part, besides relocations. And it helps because like I'm just going to go in and be honest with people, and I'm not going to try to shop or buy the listing or anything like that. And like if I'm just not the guy for you, I'm not the guy for you. It is what it is.
Well, you don't want to run into this 30 days down the market that you said something that you knew was incorrect. You have to be so honest. My last listing appointment,
you're going to be the guy dealing with or gal dealing with it in 30 days,
Correct. And if you said something, they're going to hold you to whatever you say, 100%. So my last listing appointment, they were interviewing 3 agents. And they had already talked to the other 2, and they talked to me. So everybody needs to understand this. When you're being interviewed and they have other people listening at the table to what other agents have already said to them, and there's a thing about whether you should go first or you should go last. I don't care about that.
Last.
Do you say that? Mm-hmm. Last? Mm-hmm. But when I was sitting there and talking to her.
Mainly because, real quick on that, the reason I would like to go last is I can go in there before they tell me another word about what the other agent, any other agent has said. I can tell them what the other agents have already said.
Correct, and that's what I did. Yeah. Exactly, mm-hmm. I was
already
last.
know what these guys told you.
And so, you talk about the buying a listing, which is saying the price higher or whatever. And so, my conversation with her was all about, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. That saying, this is what you need to hear. And I just went on to the honesty conversation, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you your house is worth more than it is. I'm going to show you exactly how blah, blah, blah. And she sat there and she goes, I don't need to hear anymore. I want to work with you because that's what I want.
Somebody be honest.
She goes, I could tell when I was sitting there that they were just telling me what they thought I wanted to hear. And you know what? Sellers can feel that and tell that. They need to be told what is honest. This is their largest asset. And for you to sit at the table and potentially start saying things that you think are going to benefit you so you get that listing is just, in my opinion, another thing that makes our industry look bad. But I don't want that listing if I'm going to make a lie and tell you it's worth something more than it is.
Well, the problem you have is like this is just one cog in the wheel, and they're going to have to buy or move. And like if I'm setting a very poor timeline for them up front, of like what it's going to look like for the next steps after this house, people start to plan around that stuff, right? And like, I just don't want to negatively impact somebody's life just because, I want a 300 or 1.1 or whatever. The price just doesn't matter.
Well, what'd you say when you first started, though? This is the main point of this business for you and me. We work on referral basis.
100%, yeah.
And if we don't...
I don't make a single phone call.
Right. And so we have a referral basis, too, that how we work.
I don't mean it like that, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't cold call people.
No, me neither. And open houses and stuff like that, because that's how mainly people want to do is get new business. When we are honest and we help people set up their life, what's going to happen next in life, and we get them there with honesty, that's why we are on referral.
Yeah, because it turns out honesty is a rare business model these days, unfortunately.
Right. So working so hard to just get something for yourself and to get the listing can really negatively affect you over time and really make a business decision that might go one road instead of the other road. And there's two forks in the road when you're a real estate agent. You're either going to make it and you're going to do good and you're going to start on a referral, or you're not, because people are going to talk about you or have a bad situation. I'm not saying we're perfect and we do this great, but...
Yeah, I'm not perfect. But I know agents that don't know that they have a bad reputation. I know that for a fact.
Well, and the whole thing is I just do this because I enjoy the part of helping, and then the commission comes. We get paid if we help and we go at it that way. I did never have the business model of, if I wasn't going to be able to help them, I didn't want that listing, because if they were going to be the one that tells you it's worth $500 and it's worth $450, I never took one of those, because in the end, I was going to be the bad guy, right? So if you set it up and say, okay, I'll do your 500, I'm going to be the bad guy in the end, and that's going to hurt me in the end. I'm going to be honest and tell you what I can or can't do for you, and that's where I need them to understand that I can't just do what they ask me to do.
It's non-productive time also.
Yeah. But it makes you look bad in the end, over time. So anyway, I'm not sitting here to go bad-mouthing or having a bad issue. That's honesty is just the hugest part.
And I've seen it on the neighborhood chatters and stuff, and like I said, I just stay away from it. Now if somebody puts my name on there, I just respond and be like, hey, here's my phone number, call me if you want, I'll do that stuff. But well, I don't know, it's just odd, all of it. I don't know if people just don't understand the market currently, or they're just stuck in like salesman-y stuff. Like I can't wrap my head around it, because the numbers are the numbers. They haven't changed that much.
But people are setting, houses are setting on the market. Unlike back in the day, 21 and 2022 is gone, but houses were going faster. Now they're setting, and I say setting because people consider it's setting at 15 days. They're like, oh, what's going on? And then we're actually getting into 30. What's going on? So I wanted to kind of talk about some things that you can do. Let's get back to some things we could do besides the price reductions and stuff like that.
Well, and I'm going to talk about that here real quick. But like before we even do that, like you did say, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? And like, you don't want to say that. Like I do. I mean, it's a buyer's market. The numbers and the timelines support it as a seller's market. But if you are out there, the sense of urgency on a seller is because a lot of sellers don't really understand the market, because going back to what we just talked about. So to me, the seller's market versus buyer's market, I'm going to pull away from the inventory for a second of like supply and demand. Because the reality is like, to me, if buyers get more of what they want than the seller does, that's a buyer's market. If a seller gets more of what they want than the buyer does, then that's a seller's market. It is 100% a buyer's market.
Oh, I would say that too, but I know nobody wants
that they want.
Nobody wants to say that.
Right.
You'll look at everybody, but
because they'll be like, 6 months is an even market.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, man. Like I'm out there, man. Like it's
a buyer's
market.
I've seen national stuff come out this past week, probably 3 different ones saying it's a seller's market, and I just cringe because first of all, it's national. But also there's a national information that just came out stating that the inventory is high. The sellers or the buyers are out. This was a mortgage they're lower on their applications and all that. So I absolutely agree that it's a buyer's market, but it's funny how nobody wants to say that out loud.
They don't. But it's almost like, because like, hey, inventory's up. So like, look, everybody wants to sell. So it must be a seller's market. Like, no, like there's just so much more data that you have to use to refine that. For us, we were talking about like, hey, what are some of the things that you can do? For me, like price drop isn't, generally always one of them, right? Because it's just a lever you can't unpull. But like when we were sitting down, I was telling you like, like this week in particular is a price reduction week for me, right? If you've been on, if I have a house that's been on the market over about 21 days, like I'm doing a price reduction across the board of all of my inventory. And it's like, why would you do that when I'm pretty anti price reductions in this current market? For me, it's a different purpose because of the timing of it. We are entering the fall market. We are entering this secondary market, and I need to refresh stale listings for buyers who did not exist, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, because they're specific fall buyers. And so I need something to refresh in the system. And so that's why we're doing price reductions this week, is more to refresh so we can be in front of this new pool of buyers who have just started. But they'll start this week, and over the next 4 weeks they will. And the more stale I am without any change, like that's just how the search system works. Like you have to understand how our search portal works to understand that information. And that's why we're doing it. It's just to put us in front of the new buyer's market. It's not because I need to or I want to. It's because like it makes sense based off of the timing of where we are at in the sales cycle of, like we're like, hey, is it seasonal? It's yearly, but there's adjustments made per seasons because of the yearly, right?
Well, back in the day when I first started, one of the things we were taught is if there's 10 showings, no offers, you are priced too high. If you've gone 2 weeks, no showings, your price is too high. I think we're back to being able to possibly use that statement, because price reductions are really, if you want to sit there for 30 days or 40 days and just wait and wait and wait, and you've had no showings or you've had 1 or 2, the market is telling you that nobody's going to accept that price. And the 2 things will happen is, one is I have been called a couple of times in the past couple of weeks on my listings that were literally at 10 days and 15 days, and agents called me and said, what's wrong with it?
This is insane. Yeah.
Those agents are the ones that aren't understanding this market. And I'm sorry, I just saw a car almost hit a car. So we have a window here in the thing, but they have the ability to know this market. They're working with that buyer, but what are they telling their buyer? Oh my God, it's been on the market for 14 days. Is there something wrong with it? So please, that mentality I was like, what are you talking about? It's only been on the market a short amount of days. So here's one of the things I think we're back to, and I've talked to my sellers more about, is that offer of a price interest point. So you can pay a point. So we have one that's listed in 515. 1 point buy down is $3,900.
It's nothing.
That is nothing to offer that 1 point buy down. And like we're talking about, if the rates would get into the 5s, is that going to make a buyer more interested?
I do.
That
think
would
that
put them at
number does
5.5,
matter.
5.6 right now. So sellers and your listing agents, you should really be talking to them if they are setting for like 30 days. There may be something like that that's a great incentive, and $3,900 on a $515,000 house is nothing. The 2-1 buy down is the other one that we always talked about. When we were talking about what incentives sellers can do, is only $10,220, like 10.2 on that one. On that price point, a 2-1 buy down can really make a buyer love that. They'd be at 4.4, 4.5.
And we already know rates are coming down.
Right. But that's what we say maybe buyers are waiting on. Sellers, don't make them wait. Do it for them.
It comes back to like our consumer mindset, right? So people know what the market's currently doing, right? And I feel like people don't want to buy. Well, there's a bunch of reasons people don't want to buy. A lot of it is debt to income, and people like it costs a lot to live these days, right? Mm-hmm. The other reason is people are like, oh, prices are falling. I want to wait till they get to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And you'll miss it. Like you will just miss the bottom. There's no way to time that.
No.
So just get out there and like try to get the things that you can't, like, because it's never going to be some massive drop, right? Like, I mean, the drops that you're seeing now is what you're going to continue to see. Just go after it, write a lowball offer, meet somewhere in the middle, and you got a deal on a house.
And listing agents,
that's just what you should do.
We just made an offer, and listing agents need to keep their sellers in the game. I had buyers who wanted to make an offer, and they said, the list agent came back and said, I don't know if we'll respond to that. Okay. But you haven't had any other offers in the past 3 months. So is that why you're still sitting here? Because you're like literally not going to even respond to something that's in front of you. And this is a negotiation. This is business. This is not personal. This is whether they wanted to start. We got to put it together. And I think everybody was happy about. But to come back to me with my very first offer and say, I don't know if we'll counter. Is that what you really, did you tell your seller that? Or did your seller say that and you said, okay? Like, I was not happy about that. And because this is still going to be a negotiation process, what's it going to be like on inspections? What's it going to be like with all that? But to have somebody to just put their line in the sand, I was just shocked the agent said it to me.
I mean, that just goes back to like agents knowing what's going on, and I could go on for hours and hours and hours about some of that stuff. Just because I just don't. I actually am kind of grateful, and this is me, is like, I mean, I'm not a new agent, I'm not an old agent, right? Like, I've been doing this close to a decade at this point, but
do you know when we started you were saying 5 years? I just remember that because really? You were saying I've been doing it 5 years. That means we've been doing this for almost 5 years.
5 years, that's
off
crazy.
And on,
yeah. Which even then, like, I felt new, right?
And I was
new.
Still
doing it is new, and we were doing tons of business at that point,
yeah.
right? Like, I was doing 100 transactions a year, like 5 years, right? But I'm almost glad it's a little tough. So, like, I hate to say this in a mean way because I want people to succeed, but like, I almost wish some of these. I don't know. It'll thin the herd a little bit. The only thing that I hate about that is like the people who don't treat it like a job and professional. Like, you know, it'd be lovely if they kind of like disappeared. But like what I'm going to see is I'm going to see good agents who could have been amazing agents disappear also. And that's what kind of breaks my heart. You know? Well,
you have to realize another thing I was always told when I first started is your first 2 years is just getting your feet on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so people who are upset or frustrated at 1 year or even 2 years that I'm not there yet, you're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't put that pressure on yourself. So if you're just doing the things you're supposed to do to make business for a year, you probably didn't make enough money. So you know that this is a business and the finances are not going to be there and you may quit right away. And that's why they say most agents quit like right away. Like in the first year or two, they're out because they think I should have made it by now. There's no way. If somebody has made it in the first 2 years, like I was rookie of the year, but I still hadn't made it. I sure as heck wasn't making a lot of money. And that first year I was rookie of the year and I was like, what? I was shocked because I didn't feel like I had done very much. But
it's a hidden secret that there's a ton of rookie of the years are no longer in the business because of what you're saying, like, because it's a grind, you know. So 90% failure rate in the first 2 years. That's the stat, right? And
because that first 2 years, I don't know, you're putting so much pressure on yourself that you should have been making $1 million by not $1 million, $100,000 a year. That is not normal.
So why would you even judge where you're at in your career until year 3?
Correct. But I don't think people understand
don't make it.
that.
Well, they get into it without. I don't know.
Well, who's the person that we talked about this in the past too, and it probably beats dead horse over the head or whatever they say. The issue is that agents come into this business if they aren't with a team, they're on their own. Who are they talking to?
Who's their mentor? Yeah.
Maybe the broker manager, but that's not going to help you on a daily basis to just keep going and having
how to be productive.
Well, just having somebody there to say, you're doing good. This is not but if you're out there on an island as a single agent, I highly recommend any single agent start on a team or at least find a mentor that will help you, because just doing this on that island, can you imagine? Can you imagine if you had nobody to talk to or whatever?
I mean, that's what I did. I mean, I was a solo agent until I started the team, and never been on a team. But I did find agents who, for the first 18 months of my career, like we met every single week, so we could kind of like hold each other accountable and encourage each other, and like how do you fine tune things. And I just wish, I mean, I do know plenty of companies that are really good at that. I just don't think all of them are. And then the problem is like it requires participation. So even a good brokerage that does provide that, it's still on the agent to show up.
Yeah, well, and I know just because we both are here at Tucker, their beginning process is to put the agents through the 12-week class and a lot of training, because taking the test and then going and running with it is not going to help you at all. So like this podcast, this is what we try to do, is give information that what we're seeing, because we're out there a little bit more than maybe some others, but just finding that kind of stuff. When I started too, man, I was asking everybody around me. I probably drove them crazy, but I was always like, what does this mean? What does that mean? But I was in the office every day.
But if you go ask agents, I never had an agent tell me no or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
I have one agent that constantly comes up to me to this day and says, you have no idea how much you helped me, because that one phone call, they were asking me something and they were, whatever was going on in the phone call with our transaction, she said, you actually stopped and explained to me what I had done wrong. And you didn't come at me like I was angry or upset. You came at me helping. And she said, I've always remembered that. And I've always done the same when I was there as well. So
that happened to me on my very first contract, and I'll never forget. I think we've talked about it on here.
Yeah.
Angela Horner, she helped me out, and I've always done that ever since.
Yeah.
Always.
Because so many people have this attitude that you come into this competitive market. And I myself have never thought of this as a competitive market.
Me either.
Because we work together on every transaction. And if I'm going to look at every person on my transaction as my competition, I think that's horrible. So I do find that I think anybody out there, if you're new, if you reached out and asked an agent anything, or even if you're on your first, second, or fifth transaction and you have questions, the agent on the other side will help you.
Yes.
99% of the time, I think. So do not be afraid to just say, you know what, I'm not sure I understand this. I've had agents call me and say they want to write an offer, but they have a question about an item number, whatever. What should I put there? I have no problem helping them if it's not going to hurt my seller. Yeah. Correct? Mm-hmm. I can't hurt my seller. I can't hurt my client. But if it's like, what do I put in this number? Whatever. But that's
I can have a fiduciary responsibility and protect my person. Because what gets overlooked is if I don't guide here, this deal will fall apart.
Correct.
It just will, because something will get done incorrectly.
Correct.
Right.
So if I receive...
And then I'm the one dealing with pissed off sellers.
And if the price looks great, like, hey, it's a $600,000 listing and they're offering $600,000 and they want to know if I should put 5 in there for the inspection period or 10 in there for the inspection period, I'm going to say 10 to help my seller get that $600,000 offer. That's not hurting my seller. Yeah. But if they say 5 and they can't get that inspection done, those are the kind of things I'm talking about.
So what do you do? This has happened to me, I don't know, maybe 3 times. So not a lot, but don't have it, say 14 days on an inspection response. I represent the seller, right? And I have a whiteboard that has all of our dates on it. It has what we've done, has earnest money been delivered, like all this stuff, right? Too. So I know the dates of when inspection is and when response is due, right?
Yep.
And so 2 days out from an inspection response being due, what do?
Nothing.
I call the other agent.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Because
if it's the day of and I don't have it, I will.
I did that before. I do it 2 days now, just because if they haven't remembered, I mean, they've got like 12 hours to get something figured out.
Right.
And so I want to give them enough time. The reality is so for anybody who doesn't know, what that really says is if they don't respond, they accept the property, right? They've missed their window. But
and that gets ugly when they didn't mean to do that.
Correct. It'll just kill the deal.
Yep.
It'll kill the freaking deal.
Nothing like going back to your seller and go, well, they want to do this even though it's out of contract.
Right. And then it also gives me leverage, because I'm like, I help this other, and like, hey, all right, like I'm helping you here, so like don't be asking for the world here, and like obviously you get to negotiate back and say no and all this other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've had somebody miss a date before, and I'm just like, hey, like just send us something over, like, and just like take it easy, obviously, because we don't even have to do anything at this point and stuff like that. And it will 100% kill the deal because either the other agent or the buyer did not know the timeline because
they don't have the whiteboard.
but I'm
I
sure
have
they
them in
wanted
my
to say
calendar.
something, or if they didn't, like send me the form that says we buy it in its current condition, right? Like,
Yep, right.
Like let's just get this out of the way.
No,
and I think there's agents who would disagree with me on that, but like, good luck. Have fun in your arguments 4 days later when you're like all self-righteous and like you accept it the way it is, and then like they just back out, and what they'll say is they're gonna be like the loan fell apart or whatever. Like it will freaking happen, dude. It just will.
Yeah. No, I have it in my calendar, the first number, how many days it has for that first response time period, and then I have my second number. So it's in my calendar.
If they get the extension.
Right. It's in my calendar. It's on my whiteboard.
You ever needed the extension? So for anybody who's listening, so
Yes.
you can do it. So like, let's say it's usually like 10 days, 14 days. I'll just call it 14. And then like if something major is found, whether it be biological contaminants such as mold, radon,
Roofing,
structural,
anything you need secondary specialists to look at it.
Yeah, you can ask for an extension. Usually for me, I was just talking to an agent the other day, and their turnaround time was 5 days on the extension. I'm like,
That's
man,
what I put.
that's so hard to get a specialist in that quickly.
But you've got 10 in the front. So this is a fun conversation because I do
my inspections in the first 3-4 days. So
correct.
Like we have hella time.
So
but
you'll get it done within 15.
Oh, I
if
easily
you
will.
need that. So you're not taking 10 and then on the 10th day going, oh, we better call somebody.
Man, I've needed the extension once, and it was for like a structural engineer. But a structural engineer, like when I called them, they're like, yeah, we're 2.5 weeks out.
Yeah. No, you never know. Yeah. And then will the agent give you the extension to say past the 15 days or what? Yeah. We're saying 10 and 5 being those numbers. But I hardly ever need the extension. But when I do, the thing that everybody needs to understand is I don't think that has been an understood contract as well because it changed. Mm-hmm. Because when you're going into the second period where you need that extra 5 days, all you have to do is send buyer inspections response number 1. We are extending. Seller does not have to sign. And I've had times where the list agents
There's
come back and
said. There's a form specifically for it, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, well, the buyer's inspection response number 1 says that you're extending it. So that's a whole other
extension response number 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So people need to understand their forms, which reminds me we were going to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Seller's disclosure. Let's go.
We have a new seller's disclosures, everybody. Does everybody know that? Because it was started July 1st.
Yeah, so there's a new seller's disclosure. Indiana, what is I'd have to look at the exact title of it. Indiana Real Estate Seller's Disclosure, I think is what it's called. But it's...
You're rubbing the mic.
I am? That's crazy. You can hear that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Hey, everybody. Just trying to get... I hope you keep this in. I was just trying to get close to all of our listeners. Anyways, I just wanted to reach out and touch you guys. Man, this is my ADD kicking in. Anyways, so the real estate seller's disclosure. It's 4 pages now. There's some things that are added into it. Before it was just a bunch of boxes, and then like on the back side of it, there was like some... almost like story problems, you know what I mean? Like there was like a whole narrative with it or whatever. It's like, has methamphetamine been made here, whatever. And then like on the right side of the front page is like all these no's, and then be like, does the chimney work? And be like, yeah. It's like everybody would mess it up. And so it's better. There's more dialogue with the questions.
4 pages.
4 pages. One of the questions now is, what are the age of the mechanicals, right? So I like
Which
that's
is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? When I do a listing, those are all my questions I ask, and those are all put into the listing. You know you're going to get asked that question, so find out. But now that it's on the seller's disclosure, that is fabulous.
It's nice. It's already there, right?
I mean, roof was always there, but now the other part.
I mean, you can still put in it, do not know, right?
And how do you figure that out? If you don't know, if the seller doesn't know, do you go back and look at the seller's disclosures for past deals? All I say is we don't change our seller's disclosures for us, but I do say the past sellers thought it was this.
That's what I do, yes. Because
so don't ever just say, I don't know. Do some investigative work because roof is a major question.
See, I tell people If you do not know, do not guess. Does not
Correct.
know is a sufficient answer. But if somebody does call me about it, I have the information from the previous seller's disclosure
do
that
they.
says that. Yeah.
Right? So as a buyer's agent, you guys, if you're trying to figure out how old the roof is and it says do not
Look
know,
back, yeah.
look back.
That's your worst case scenario, right? It could have been replaced since then or whatever,
Don't
but,
know.
That's your worst case scenario.
But
Yeah.
if the seller sold it in 2020 and they said the roof at that point was 6 years old and it's now 2025, we can possibly guess that it's 11 years old because they said 6 and my sellers haven't replaced it.
Yeah.
So we can pretty
So that's
much
our
guess
guess.
that might be that.
Yeah.
But it's better than going, I don't know.
Don't know it all. Yeah. You got to do some digging.
So anyway,
I
everybody,
think the thing
make
that's
sure you know.
frustrating is that it's effective July 1st. We're just now kind of dealing with this, and everything that you currently have active on the market, you need to now do an updated seller's disclosure. If you are pending, it is my understanding you do not need to do an updated seller's disclosure, but if you are active, and there is a lot of active houses on the market, you have to do a new seller's
Right
disclosure.
now, like
Yeah.
it needs changed now. It needs to be the new seller's disclosure. So everybody just make sure you do realize that. If your office hasn't been talking about it, ours has been. And it was something that started July 1st, which
Yeah.
we are now September. So it's
Yeah.
been 2 months old.
Yeah. But we'll get more information on that, and we can help everybody with that. Let's
And
get into-
really, always feel free to reach out to us if you have questions or if you
Yeah.
have something you want us to talk about. Absolutely. And
or if you want to be on.
yeah, if you want to be on, we have really good guests lined up for like the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about a lot of them. But yeah, tell us your stats.
So I just think they're holding steady. Obviously, it's it was a holiday week. Fishers went down by 6 and Noblesville went up by 4. I don't know. I just kind of think we're kind of in this. I had a decent jump 3 weeks ago, but they're just kind of staying the same. I had 31 in Fishers. I had 31 go on the market from 225 to 1.7. 23 are still active, 8 pended, but 36 total pended last week, right? So I lost some. Average days on market has come down a little bit. Actually, for Fishers, I take that back as I'm looking at my notes. Average days on market has gone up slightly. It's 34, and the median is 14. And then in Noblesville, I have 220 on the market. Oh, so Fishers had 270, but
270 on the market.
270 on the market.
Fishers.
Fishers, yeah, that's a big number.
It is. That's almost 100 more than Carmel.
Yeah, it's nuts,
80.
man. Well, it was 276 last week. Is dang near 300. Noblesville, I had 34 go on the market, anywhere from 250 to 1.3. 28 are still on the market, so 6 pended, but a total of 24 pended, right? So that's when I say 6, that's just stuff that was on the market last week. So what are the odds you sell in a week? Well, 34 hit the market and only 6 sold in a week, right? My average days on market for Noblesville is 37 and the median is 24. So I don't know, man. We've been hovering in these 30s.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is if I go and look at active like I did last week, active days on market is 60. So what does that mean? Some stuff is selling in 2 weeks. Some stuff is selling in 50, 60 days. And that's just where you get the average from. If you don't know how to figure out an average, call your high school math teacher. But that's all I can say. So
It does it for you. It's so
It does.
easy. You just
It does.
click on all the little boxes and boom, it tells you right there.
it does the math. Yeah, you don't even have to show your work anymore, right?
Oh, good. Thanks to ChatGPT for all those students out there. Anyway, Carmel hit 34 hit the market. 12 of those pended. A total of 27 houses pended over the Labor Day weekend. I think that's great. Currently, there's 196 active in Carmel and 131 sold in the past 30 days. So if we look at the days on market, so of the pendings that sold this past 7 days, the average days was 28 with a median of 16. The past 30 days, it was 18. So we have gone up 10 days on the average days on market just this past week. So the active ones at 196, it's 84 days on market is the average. So again, you're looking at 30 to 84 for any house in Carmel. Westfield 28 hit the market. 8 of those pended, a total of 21 pended. So the average days on market for the ones that pended in the past 7 days was 23. In the past 30 days, it was 34. So they're kind of the same. It went down a little bit. And they're active right now in Westfield. There's 267, but 114 of those are new builds. So there's only, and I say only because compared to these other towns, we're talking about 153 that are not new builds currently active. And their average days on market in Westfield is 72. So you're looking, we are getting close to 3 months on the market for active homes. And we are getting ready to go into the holiday season, so I could see this going higher. Anyway, Zionsville had 12 hit the market. 5 of those pended. A total of 10 did pend. 24 was the average days on market for the past 7 days. And in the past 30 days, the sold average day was 27. So Zionsville's
They're doing
staying
all right.
steady.
I feel like they've gone down a little bit, actually. Remember a couple of weeks ago where like Zionsville's really, really high?
Yeah. Well, their
Disproportionately.
average days on market for all the 89 that are currently active is 82. So they're
Wow.
getting ready to hit 3 months on the market. So if we look at average actives, Carmel, almost 3 months, Zionsville, almost 3 months, and Westfield's 2.5 months. So
Zionsville is a very good representation of like you sell or you sit.
yes. And Zion, well, it depends on the location.
Yeah.
Because Zionsville is always that little village. I have a client trying to find a house in the village, and that's just a special little
Yeah,
area.
you have to either wait or send mailers. That's kind of how that one works.
And people don't believe you're real mailers. Like,
Yeah, they
you know,
don't.
from all the postcards they get. But anyway.
I've got one I've got to go deal with when I get back from my trip, and I'm not sending a mail. I'm just gonna go knock on the door. That's what I'm gonna do. Like, hey, we want to buy your house.
Yeah.
So then they'll probably say no, and not think I'm real, and then I'll be back 2 weeks later. To do it again. So then they'll start to believe me.
I'm back.
Next
All
week
right.
we got Mark Fisher on, who is head of IAR, Indiana Association of Realtors.
He's always full of
Yeah,
great
he's awesome.
information. And that's going to be a good one.
Yeah. So, but if you need to get a hold of me, I'm Kyle Morris, the Morris Property Group and FC Tucker, and my number is 317-649-5122.
And I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group. And my phone number is 317-201-2601.